A lot of people think I should go back. If I sold 10 cards, number 99, number 98, number 95, number 88, I should reuse that number and just go put them back in the box. That is too much inventory management. And the more times you touch these cards in your inventory, the more times you have the risk of causing one to be misplaced. Welcome to SM Postcards, another video on a postcard that is a lot. There's a lot of them out there, and you're going to see what the sell-through rate on these are. And do I list them? We'll find out. But Williamsburg, Virginia postcards, kind of like St. Augustine, Gettysburg, all these historical sites did a lot of postcards for tourists and stuff over the years. There's chrome and different ones. Yeah, there's some that do well, but a majority of them, we'll see. I'll go through what's sold first on the agenda down here. I got 20 cards I sold. Should go pretty quick. They're pretty straightforward cards. Get through those. We'll do the special topic. And then I put a poll out there. Do you collect stamps? A lot of people collect postcards. They collect stamps. But we'll see what the results are. And then in the viewer comments, I had someone ask me, how do I use... When I do my inventory, I put little stickers on a sleeve of the SKU number, the inventory number, the custom label. Because I don't write it out and put stickers, because when a human does it, you're going to miss. And there's more mistakes. And to write out thousands of numbers and trying to keep track is just now, oh, I just sold a postcard. Good way to start a video. It's a woman, postcard woman, Kili, Hawaii. $5.99 for a Hawaii postcard. Good way to start a video. But how do I do those stickers? And how do I use my Dymo label maker to do it? I'm going to do a demo, explain about that, and show you the software that Dymo has and how I do that to make it easier and to reduce issues with numbers. And I don't reuse my SKU numbers. A lot of people think I should go back. If I sold 10 cards, number 99, number 98, number 95, number 88, I should reuse that number and just go put them back in the box. That is too much inventory management. And the more times you touch these cards in your inventory, the more times you have the risk of causing one to be misplaced or something to go wrong. I just keep moving forward. So I'm like on number 80,000 or something like that. And I just keep sequentially moving the number forward. I'm never going to run out of numbers. So I know my oldest number is in my last box, my newest number, or my oldest number is in my first box, and my newest number is down in the last box. But we're going to go through that at the end of the viewer comments. I'll do a little demo on the software. It really helps me out. But let's go ahead and get started on what's sold. 20 cards overnight, not a bad time in there. So the first one was a scene in Forest Lawn Cemetery, Buffalo, New York. Just right, it's on undivided back, posted. Can't tell when it was posted, probably 1907 before, since it's undivided back. But a nice card, $4.75. Statue of Liberty, yes, they do sell. This is just a chrome card. I listed this yesterday. Got a little poem or a saying here. It's got the Statue of Liberty, $4.75. Next one is a Continental card of the NASA Spacecraft Control Room. It's a manned control room. It's posted 1970. And it's got like a little deckled edge along the, it's got a sawtooth thing on there. But nice card, $4.75. This is one of my ship cards, USF Constellation. It's in the Baltimore Museum. That's the Constellation Continental card. And this was done from a publisher. They didn't print this card. $4.75. Next one sold for $5.65. This is a swimming pool in Yellow Creek Park, Struthers, Ohio. Linen card. Swimming pools do well. I always try to bump those up. Now this one has a little crease along here, and I called that out. Oh, let's see. They paid for my Hawaii card. But that's a swimming pool, unposted linen card with a crease, and that's sold for $5.65. Next one is one of the ship cards. This is on the lighter cardstock, matte in front, matte on back. USS Covington. It's an older ship, about 1918 it says. This was the last one I had, so I'm sold out of this one, and that sold for $4.75. Port Arkansas, Texas. It's a port. View card. Unposted. $4.75. This one I've sold this before. This sold for $5.65. I always bump it up. It's called the Piazza Bird, Alton, Illinois. Some kind of bird mural on the thing, chrome card. I've sold this a couple times before. $4.75. Sold the Bozo card. These little trade cards on there. $4.75. This was an interesting one. This lady shopped through my whole store because these are all different inventory numbers. But you got 3 cards of the Imp. Got that one. Got that one. And got that one. 3 cards of the Imp. Whatever, some statue. And those 3 cards sold for $17.25. They were all across different boxes too. So they basically went through and looked through my store to find those. Next one is a large letter card. $8.55. Greetings from Pomeroy, Ohio. Chrome card, not a linen. Posted 19, I would say 50, 60. And that sold for $8.55. Some of those large letters can do good, a lot don't. Next one is a cabin. Fort Necessity. Somewhere. Not for sure where the Fort Necessity is. Some kind of historic site of a cabin. $4.75. Next one is Louisiana, 2 greatest monuments conceived by the late U.S. Senator Huey Long. Some bridge, the Huey Long Bridge, and the Capitol in Baton Rouge. There's Huey, right there. And this is the linen card, unposted, $4.75. Sold a ship, Marvin Shields, publisher card, $4.75. Real photo postcard sold for $6.88. And this is Mount Hood, some trail people on Mount Hood, $6.88. Sold the ship photo of Marvin Shields to the same guy, $8.55 for this little photo here. It's got a curl to it because it's photo paper, but this is my last one of those, and that sold for $8.55. Next one, this sold for $10.55. It's the School of Medicine and Hospital, Vanderbilt University, Nashville, Tennessee. Not the best condition with some staining on it and stuff, but that sold for $10.75. Unposted. It's a white border card too. Doesn't have the waffle texture. And the last card is a fountain in Gateway Park, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Posted in 1922. Just a fountain. So altogether I had 20 cards. Total was $119.61. Now those are gross sales. I'm taking shipping, so you can do what you want with that number. Take 119.61 divided by 20, and you get a average sale price of $5.98. So it's going up. So this year in 2024, I might have got screwed up in some earlier videos saying 70 is up because I did some of those videos last year while I was still batching up for the holidays, but there might be some overlap, but my goal is to do 16 cards a day, $80 a day, raise my ASP, and be very, very picky about purchasing this year. So $5.98 brings that up for ASP. I did over $80, and I did 20 cards at 16, so I met all my goals for today, which is good. For the year, I'm down a little bit on the number of cards. I think I'm around 13 or 14, not 16, so I got the whole year to go through to bring that up. My ASP is going up, and I am way over $80 a day. Now, I did have a couple orders on Ko-Fi for some supplies, first day covers, some dividers, sleeves, and stuff like that, and those orders came to $43.50. So if you add that to the $119.61, that's $163.11. Now I don't add the Ko-Fi into my eBay goal for postcards, but $163 a day, move some stock, I'm happy. Now let's get into the special topic of Williamsburg, Virginia postcards. Won't be a real long topic probably because everybody's seen them. So I didn't get into the really, really deep details on them, but But I did give you some history here. I went through and picked out what is Williamsburg, Virginia, what's important about this colonial place, this historic museum or site and stuff like that, and why is it so important in history. So while I read through these details, just a high level, I'm going to show you some postcards that I found out there with Williamsburg, Virginia on it. So as you go through, you'll see those. Then we'll get into the sell-through rate and then some pricing. I didn't find a lot on pricing like I usually do with these, the higher end. But here we go. Williamsburg, Virginia holds a fascinating history that dates back to America's early colonial days. In the 17th century, it was the thriving capital of Virginia, one of the original 13 colonies. Williamsburg played a pivotal role in the American Revolution, as it was here that the Virginia Convention met to discuss independence from British rule in 1776. The monumentous decision helped pave the way for the birth of the United States. The city's historic district, now known as Colonial Williamsburg, that's the historic district there, has been carefully preserved, allowing visitors to step back in time and experience life in the 18th century. During the American Revolutionary War, Williamsburg saw its fair share of action. It was briefly occupied by the British forces in 1781, which was a crucial turning point in the war. This event ultimately led to the siege of Yorktown, where British General Cornwallis surrendered to American and French forces, effectively ending the war. The surrender at Yorktown marked the end of British rule in American colonies and set the stage for the formation of the United States as an independent nation. Today, Williamsburg is not just a historic treasure, but a vibrant community that continues to celebrate its past. Visitors of all ages can explore the colonial era buildings, interact with costumed interpreters, and learn about the early days of American history. With its rich heritage and educational opportunities, Williamsburg, Virginia remains an important destination for those interested in the nation's origins and events that shaped it. The history of Williamsburg, Virginia postcards is a captivating journey through time, reflecting the enduring charm of this historic town. Beginning in the late 19th century, as photography and printing technologies advanced, postcards emerged as a popular means of communications and souvenirs for tourists. Williamsburg, with its well-preserved colonial architecture and rich history, quickly became a favorite subject for these postcards. Early postcards often featured iconic landmarks such as the Governor's Palace and the Capitol, showcasing the town's historical significance. Over the decades, the styles and contents of postcards evolved, capturing moments of everyday life in Williamsburg, from bustling market scenes to historic street views. Today, Williamsburg postcards continue to serve as windows into the town's past, offering a nostalgic glimpse into the timeless appeal for visitors and history enthusiasts alike. So I got one fact here I put in here for Williamsburg. In the 18th century, it was considered illegal to wear excessively large wigs in Williamsburg, those big white wigs. The unusual law was put in place to prevent wigs from becoming a fire hazard at a time when open flames were used for lighting. Yeah, I could see that. Citizens were required to limit the size of their wigs, making Williamsburg one of the few places where fashion was dictated by fire safety concerns. So they even talked about that stuff back in those days. So that's a little history about Williamsburg. Very important place in our history as a nation. I've never been there. I know probably a lot of people have toured it and stuff like that. We have the Lincoln, Springfield sites and stuff that we went to while we were in school. We went through those places. But do they sell? Sell-through rate. Go into eBay, put in Williamsburg, Virginia, hit the sold, get a number, uncheck that, get listed, and it's going to fall in one of these ranges. Times it by 100 to get a percent rate, round up or down. It's going to fall in one of these ranges that I have in my head that I put on this whole chart. 0 to 3% is low. Those are cards that don't move as fast. I'm not saying you won't get a sale, but you have not as good of a chance as you would the other ones. with the little thing I do here. It's not scientific. It's not down to the last card. It just gives me something to work with for an educated guess. At a show, you got a box of white cards. Going through the cards, you can't take your phone out and look at every card like you would with other stuff that you sell, like clothes or shoes or TVs or something with a model number. Postcards, there's 700 cards in that box. It's just not worth it. So you got to be able to make a decision and bring those cards home and see if you got duds or you got good ones or medium average ones. This helps me know what I need to pick up. I work in the 4 to 10%, the average and the high. While I'm there, sometimes I do pick up duds that fall into the red, but I've learned over time to stay away from those. But they still fall through the cracks. And I'll find real photo postcards, something I've sold before, and stuff like for the very high ones. So if you target the average, the other ones are going to come in there, and hopefully you don't get more red than you do that top green. But if you're just looking for the top green, you're going to spend more money for them, more questions. You're going to make some more money, but you're going to wait a little bit longer. I'm going to move a lot of average cards, a little more work, but that's a different model. When you work with the real high-end cards like our real photo postcards and stuff, Halloween, some of those artist sign, those will sell themselves. So that's not a model I do. I do the average, I do quantity, and I know I need to have variety and a quantity of cards to sell between divided back down to chrome and current cards. If I was just doing the top ones, I probably wouldn't have half of what I have here because they would be worth more money. But that's not the model I did. I like to divide it back down to chrome because I can relate to those more. And I'm not a big researcher or sorter. So I like moving stuff, quantity, organizing. That's what I like. So do what you like, pick a model, and go for it. If you just like linens, pick up linens. But average cards is what I do. So how did Williamsburg, Virginia do? So I went out there and I put Postcard Williamsburg in there, eBay, and I click sold, which does completed. Gives me 406 sold with 13,000 listed. Times it by 100, 3% sell-through rate. Right at the top of the low. Right at the bottom of the average. It's a historic site. A lot of cards, a lot of touristy stuff like St. Augustine, Florida. But there might be some good ones out there that are a little bit higher, and we're going to take a look at that. But you need to bump it up against other things in the same kind of category to see if that 3% is right. Is it really in the range, in the ballpark? So I always put about 4 other sell-through rate comps, you want to call them. But I did Postcard Roanoke, another Colonial site. 317 with 5,800 listed, 5%. So Roanoke's a little higher than Williamsburg. I think it's because of a little mystery about the people and stuff there. I've seen it on TV. Then you got Washington, D.C., which I figure is another patriotic capital place, 4%. Still above there. But then you got Mount Vernon. I do not list those cards, even some of the rare ones. I got so many of them. There's been so many Mount Vernon, Monticello, cherry trees, Washington, D.C.'s. There's just a lot out there. But a lot of people like those because they use them for school projects or they collect them or they're we got an election year coming up this year. Will they move more? You can speculate all you want. But then Williamsburg's 3%. So I think the 3% is in the ballpark for a historical colonial site cards like this, a lot of them out there. I don't think I'm far off with the little test I did here. So if I go through a box and I see it half full of Williamsburg, I'll probably pass. Because I'm not going to waste my time listing those. Now if I go through and I find a little bit out of a 700 card box of Williamsburg, sure, because I'm only buying 60% of the box. Because I know 40% I'm going to not do anything with, lot them up or whatever, but I'm going to buy 60%. So you don't want to spend a lot of money on cards like this. You can put them up there because you need variety. You want people to stay in your store. You just can't put up there what you like because you're just putting your collection. I sold the Statue of Liberty today. How many Statue of Liberties can you list? How many pictures and postcards are there? A lot of times I don't list them, but I did that one because I had a little saying on the side. I didn't have a lot of scratches on it. It looked really good. I said, oh well, I'll go ahead and list that one. And it sold. But I'm not going to load my boxes up with Statue of Liberties. There's just so many out there. Night Scene's the Statue of Liberty, I will. So you just got to pick and choose what sells. Not what you always like, it's what these other people. So maybe someone's got a school project or they're just collecting all the Williamsburg. They'll come in and buy 20 cards from you. That's that one buyer out of the weeds that whenever. So if you want to wait for the 100-year flood, you can, but just be careful with cards like this for the sell-through rate. Now the pricing, I always try to find some extreme prices. You know, the top high watermark, real photo postcards, you know, up in the hundreds of dollars. I didn't find any on eBay. I searched for a couple times. I got the word none across my slide here. Didn't find any. So we're going to look at the average. I throw out any really high ones and any low ones. Throwing out the high ones easy. Low ones, the 99-cent things I don't look at. But I did find some in the $13 to $20 range. So this one here is an Albert type, which is a printing process. You can go out there and look at that. A lot of collectors will collect stuff like that. If you want to put that in your title, rotographed, Albert type, cyanotype, sepia, whatever they call that brown stuff. A lot of people get into that type of stuff. I'll call it out if I see it, if I know, but I'm not really into a lot of that. So you might be able to go in my store and find some Albert types that you can get a few extra dollars for, because I probably missed. Albert type postcard, Williamsburg, Virginia, Governor's Palace. So that's that Governor's Palace I was talking about in the little thing I was talking about, Williamsburg. This one sold for $19.99 with best offer, free shipping. So an Albert type card, that might have helped it sell, and it went through. So that's the highest one I found. So they probably got $15, $16, $17 for that one. Then the next one's the same thing. Is a best offer for Library of William and Mary College. I remember William and Mary College. I've sold cards with that or list them. And it $17, so $15 for that. Not too bad. I mean, it's above that, what I would put them up there. But if I saw Williamsburg Library of Mary College, would I put it up for that? I probably wouldn't. I don't really wouldn't even probably comp them as much. I would just $4.75 because it's Williamsburg. Then here's a real photo of a vintage postcard, Williamsburg, Virginia, Colonial Capital. Looks like a pretty neat card. Looks like it's in pretty good condition. $13.99. So $10 to $15 for the top high watermark. Probably few and far between. I went and checked some of the chrome ones and stuff like that of the blacksmith, the bakery, the houses. Those, if you want to put them up, I would just run through them. $4.75 or whatever your bottom number is that you put them in. Cards like this set to the side, look a little deeper, but I wouldn't spend a lot of time. It took me a while to find some of these out there on that. So the prices for Williamsburg, kind of like Mount Vernon, Washington DC, Cypress Gardens, stuff for QSL cards, they're just not on my radar. If I see them, I just fly past them. I don't spend a lot of time because there's not, for your return on your time with them, you won't get there. But if anybody knows of any really good Williamsburg, or you sold some real good Williamsburg, send it into the show and tell section of contact at SMPostcards.com. Because we'd all love to learn if there's something special out there when we go through it and see and what you've done. But that's Williamsburg. Who knew? Now we're going to get into the poll. Not a real long one, because it's just a yes or no poll. Sometimes I just send them out there, yes or no. A lot of people talk to me about stamps. You know, I should look at the stamps on the back of postcards. I should look at this. 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 You're missing this. A long time ago, I decided I'm not a stamp guy. I'm not a cancel guy. I don't read the back. I don't get into a lot of artists. I don't get into the printing. I had to pick and choose. I can't do it all. I don't get into the post office defunct. People have their niches and they enjoy it. I don't say that's all bad. I wish I could do it all. But I just can't do it all. You know, I don't want to spend the time on everything. So I don't know stamps. Not because they're bad. It's just I picked and choose what I wanted to work on. I couldn't tell you a good stamp from a bad stamp. That's how deep I don't get into that. Postcards I like to get into. I like to get into the views. I like to move stuff. But stamp world, I just never got into. You know, Tom talks about stamps. He's a judge. We went to the stamp show. There's a lot of neat stuff about it. It really perks my curiosity. I just don't have the time to go through and learn all that stuff and all the little things about that. So I focus on postcards. So if you try to do everything, you'll just do it well. But if you focus on a few things, you'll do them very well. And then you might find room to do a few things. A lot of people tell me that there's a $100 stamp on that postcard. Well, buy it. Go sell it and let me know. And don't, you know, I don't care. I've got my money for the postcard. I bought it for the postcard. So 18% said yes. 76% said no. So a lot of people do postcards, you know, 3/3 of them, 76% is no. So they're picking and choosing too. They might do it later on, but I just don't know, man. That was the reason why. But and Stephen Holton, I know he did stamps and he came in. I'm glad you commented, Stephen, because you got lots of stamps. You've been doing forever. But he's been collecting stamps for 55 years. There's a lot of people out there that aren't even 55 yet. Have over 1 million stamps and 75 stamp bill. That's a lot. That's a lot of stamps. I started collecting when I was 8 years old and have collected them ever since. That's a long time. I've removed stamps from postcards all the time by using stamp. This is a tip here, and I left in there stamp lift fluid by Super Safe. So there's something with stamp lift fluid by Super Safe. Thanks for putting that in there, Stephen. I've never heard of it, but stamp lift fluid by Super Safe. While I edit the video, I'll see if I can find a little Amazon thing or whatever on there. And that's what I use to get stamps on. Mostly either early 1900s or 1800 stamps on postcards. Don't mess with more modern ones, as they really have no value except for some foreign stamps. Just like Williamsburg. You know, that he's talking about the same thing. But that's the knowledge and experience someone like Stephen has, the skill. And just over the years learning stuff. He's probably so above me on, he is way above on stamps and stuff like that. He can take this postcard and he can just look at that stamp and tell you, yes, it's worth it, no, it's not worth it. You know, and stuff like that. Where I could take a postcard and tell you, you know, the average price and stuff like that. Is it average or whatever? So, but by doing it for so long, it's just second nature. He can look at it, and he's got that fluid, stamp lift fluid by Super Safe. Pretty cool. Thanks, Stephen. And then Ashley says, yes, I collect unused vintage stamps, but for the purpose of using them for fun. You ever get a box from eBay and it's got like 50 stamps on there, and it's got a number written on there because the post office had to calculate it all? It cracks me up when I get a box like that. So I don't collect them to keep them in traditional sense. Somehow I now have a lot. How did that happen? Yes, it can happen, Ashley. Thanks. Then Thrifty Gal Collectibles. I don't collect them, but pay attention to them. I have happened to have a postcard with an unusual stamp that got me $50 for a card instead of $5. Yeah, if you know what you're looking for, that's what I mean. I might have some in my store. Go take a look, Thrifty, because I don't look at those. I look and see if it's posted with a cancel or whatever. But I know a lot of stamp people, when you have soft corners, that's usually when they soaked them off or did something, or I've gotten postcards where it's been, you know, cut out and stuff like that. That's just part of it, you know, people getting things. Sometimes it pays to research a little bit more. So that's where people can make some extra money if you got the time to do it and stuff. If you want to go and get into that world. I think I would have had fun with stamps if I decided to do it, but it's just a time thing, and I'm at a point in my life where enough's enough. I'm happy with what I'm doing. If I'm looking for something new, maybe. But thanks, everyone. Those polls come out every Saturday around 8, 9, 10 a.m. Central Time, whenever I got them scheduled. If there's any polls that any questions you have that you would like to poll the viewers for, send it to me at contact@SMPostcards.com. I think I got them up to April now. And I got room the rest of the year. I got a whole list of them that I want to put out there, but I want to leave room for viewers if they have any questions to see if you're doing it right or what other people do. If it's not as detailed, like I'm not going to tell them where do you buy your postcards or how much money did you make this year? Do you pay, you know, how much tax do you pay? Those types of questions I don't get into. I just look for the general thing to give people a guideline, and for me to make sure I'm still in the ballpark. Send it to contact@SMPostcards.com and make sure you subscribe. That little bell icon over there and in the corner, the best free thing you can do for the channel, and you'll be notified when these things come out. I use the community tab in my YouTube channel. If you go to the channel and you see community, I use it extensively. It's how I communicate with the viewers and you with a lot of different things that's going on. Now we're going to get into viewer comments. The first one I'm going to talk about, but I did a little clip. And hopefully it pans out and it works and I can show you how I do this, because a lot of people have asked me how I put numbers on my cards. There's two different ways I've seen to do inventory that I recommend. Not saying mine's right or the other ones are not wrong, how you do it or whatever. I'm just saying these are the ones I see mostly. The first one is what I do. I take a sleeve, any sleeve, and I put a number on it. And I have a spreadsheet that I put every title in eBay and I put it on there, and this is sequential. So this is number 79608. And I put that in the box in sequential order. And I put that number in the custom label field on eBay. So when it sells, I look for 79608. It's going to be right after before 79609. I don't throw away these sleeves. I don't ship this to the customer. I put a new sleeve on the postcard and I set this to the side. This one's got about 3 different labels on it, and I just keep putting a new number label on them. So I don't throw away a one-time investment, but it's not that big of a deal. And that's how I do it, and that's what this little clip's going to be, is how do I do these numbers. I don't write them out and stick them on little things. Too much time wasted, too much errors can happen when a human's doing it. I let the computer do it, and I have 1 inch by 1 inch, and I have those in the video description too, the labels and dymos that I use. So I'm going to walk through the comment, my answer, and then I'm going to show the clip, the actual walk through the software that I use and Dymo has. Now, Colin Muscat said, great video. How do you set up label printer for printing your number labels? So I wrote back to him. I said, thanks. I use a Dymo Label Writer 450 Turbo thermal printer with a 1 inch by 1 inch label. I don't use the Dymo labels. I got another brand I found was a lot cheaper. So I just run through them. Dymo has a PC app called Dymo Label version 8. That's the name of the app you're going to see here in the clip. In there you can select the label you want to create and add a counter to the label. So you can select a 1 inch by 1 inch label, which you're going to do, and then you can go over and you can insert a counter. What that counter is a little widget that you put on your label, and when it's done and you saved it, you can double click that label as you're going to see, and you can put like number 1 in there, and then you can go down and tell it to print out 100. It's going to sequentially start at number 1 and it's going to end at 100 on each label. So, I mean, computers love numbers. They love the count. They're not going to miss. Where if you're doing it by hand, you could double miss or whatever and stuff like that. So I let the computer do it, and I put the link here to where the software is, and I'll put it, if I remember, I'll put it into the description on the video as well. So let's go ahead and get started with that demo, and I'll see how that comes out and walk through a little tool I use. If anybody's got any questions about this, just let me know. I've been using it for a while and it's worked for me. It works on Windows 10, Windows 11. I haven't tried it on a Mac, but it should tell you on that site. Here we go. So this little clip is about using the Dymo Label software. I think it's version 8 is what I use. It's been on my PC forever. The question was, how do I do that? And why do I do that? Probably. One of the reasons you want a computer to count for you is I've seen a lot of people go out and buy the little stickers, the circles, and they write 1, 2, 3, and they're writing all the numbers. Well, if a human does it, there's a chance of an error. Plus, it takes a lot of time. And then you got to know what number you're on last and stuff like that. So what I use is a Dymo. It's called a Label Writer 450 Turbo. I also have a twin turbo that has 2 of those in it that I use down here for address labels on photos that don't go eBay standard envelope, and then the other one on the left side, kind of a backup, but it has removable labels. When I used to do the action figures and toys and stuff, I would put one of those on there, and that was my SKU number. I very rarely use that, but it's a good backup. Right one on the twin turbo is for labels. They're permanent. They're like 1x3, and that's what I cut and paste from eBay. And then the one for this is a single one, and this is what it looks like. But we're going to go through and how I do this and how to make it easier. Now the labels I use are 1 inch by 1 inch because I don't need a big number. I can see in my life right now, but maybe a couple of years later I might need bigger numbers. But this is the company I usually get them from, Key on Amazon, and they come in little rolls. Most of your thermal paper is going to come in a black roll because light will diminish the thermal paper. So you want to keep it covered and out of sunlight and light if possible, so they put it in here. But I usually buy these by the 2 or 3 dozens at a time. I do have them in the Ko-Fi store, but they've been pretty good. And the biggest thing about getting knockoff labels instead of Dymo, sometimes Dymos are very expensive, and I think the new Dymos actually require you to use it, but I don't know. But the Dymo printers can be expensive, but they're worth their money. But you can find them used out there, garage sales, eBay, and different things. So I'm going to go through and show you the software and how I set up the label and the site to get the software and more information about that. And I had this question a lot, but they have a software that helps you with labels when you do stuff like this, or address labels, and it's called Label Writer. Let me get the exact name. Go to the help about here. It's called Dymo Label version 8. I got version 8.5.4.1913. Probably an older version, but it works on Windows 11, Windows 10, and where I put a link in the video description now. So down underneath where it says labels, you can go click on that and it'll take you to the compatibility center. I think that's what they call it, compatibility chart on Dymo. I'm going to show you what that is and how to get the software. Then I'm going to bring up the software and show you how to create the label real quick. But there's user guides on Dymo and everything. You can do a lot of stuff with the software. And then we'll print out 10 labels and I'll show you how that looks. And I hope that will get your curiosity, help you out. Now if you don't use SKU numbers in something else, then this might not help as much. In the future, if you ever go to a SKU number or you want to put a bunch of numbers on a bunch of stuff, this will help. So let's get into the software. The link in the video description to take you to the Dymo software if you want to use this. And remember, if you don't use a SKU number, this might not help you at all, but people have asked me many times about this. The Dymo Software Download Center is where I found the software. You can go in there and you can search by machine or software. So the best is search by software. The software name is Dymo Label Software. And then you pick your operating system, Apple, Mac, or Windows. This is a Windows machine, Windows 11. And then it asks for what version. Always take the highest version. And it'll give you the options for Windows 7, 8.1, 10, or 11. And download. Now my older version is working on 11. I got 8.5, I think it is. Let's take a look and see what version I use. We go to About. I got 8.5 is my version, and it's at 8.7, but mine's working, no problems, so I haven't upgraded, and I probably should, but it's been working fine because I only use it for the numbers. But that's where you go to get. They have a lot of other stuff out there. They have user guides to get more advanced with and stuff, but for what I use it for, it's basically straightforward. But let's bring up the software because I already have it installed. This is the software right here, and you can make it bigger, smaller, whatever. I'll make it larger on the screen. But this is the left side where all the labels that you use. I use the numbers for numbers, and then I use labels for addresses. That's what these are. These are my 2 labels I use right now. And to add a label, once you get it new, you go down at the bottom here. Your saved labels are here, the ones you use all the time. And then your recently printed ones can be there, and then your label types. Now this is a 1 by 1 inch, 1 inch by 1 inch label. So I want to pick that, and I don't want to save the one I have. And now I have a blank 1 inch label in my palette to work with. It's not saved yet, but I want to put a counter on it. So over here you can put different little widgets, I call them, on there. You can date and time, barcodes, you can image, you can put QR codes and stuff in there, whatever. But the one we want is the counter. So I take and I drag this over, put it in the middle, and then you can actually center it. You can put it in the middle, make it bold, and make it a little bit bigger. So we got the counter, the label, the counter, and you would save this into your saved labels. I won't save it since I already got it. So I'm going to start here, and you're saying, well, now how do I put the numbers in to make it count? Do I have to do this every time? No. You double click on the counter, and it comes up with this little dialog box. And we're going to tell it to go from number 10. Start at the number 10 is your starting number, and I'll click OK. You can do all this other stuff in here forward to an advanced stuff, but I don't. And so my last number I used was number 10 on my spreadsheet. I hit OK. I go to the bottom right down here if you see my mouse, and we're going to do 5. And then it's going to count. We should have 10 through 15 is what we should have. And I'll show it to you in just a second. Or 10 through 14 since there was 5 labels, so it counts 10. It's like starting 0. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 is what I got, and I'll show you that in a second. So that's all there is to it, is you would add the label type here, 1 inch by 1 inch. You might have to find it to get it in there, but most time it's at the top. Insert the counter, adjust your counter, double click on the counter. You can change it to 20, hit OK, and go down here and tell it to do 5, or do 100, or do whatever you want to do, and it'll print it out right in sequential order, and you're done. That's all there is to it. Now these are permanent labels, so that's why I put them on sleeves. Don't put these on the cards, just from experience. It doesn't work well. It pulls the color off. But that's the Label Dymo software, is all there is to it. And then for addresses, you can pick an address label, and you can cut and paste or type in there, but you need to insert a text box like this, just like you did the counter, and you can center it and put it, the text and stuff, where you want it. Then you can go to eBay thing when you send something and just cut and paste right in here, and then print that out, and that'll go on the envelope. So you can do a lot of stuff with that. So that's all there is to the software. Very simple. Go to Dymo. If you have a Dymo, there might be some other printers out there cheaper that do it. I'm not for sure. I've always used the Dymos. But if you want to get a Dymo, it's called Label Writer 450 Turbo is what I use. Get the 1 inch by 1 inch labels, or whatever size you want to use, and then you get the software. Go follow that link, go to Dymo, pick the software you want to use, and bring it up, and then you got to configure the labels, the 1 inch label, and put the counter on it. And then this is the ones we did. So we started at number 10 right there, and it went to 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is how many we got. So if I did, every time I do 50, say I want to list 50 cards today, I go in and see what number I'm going to start with off my spreadsheet, because I keep everything tracked on a spreadsheet, or you can look in the box and see what last number you used. And then you say I want to list 100. You go in and you bring up that label, make sure you have labels in the thing. They come in a roll, they last pretty good. And say you started at number 420. You started at next number is 421, and you want 100. Then you go to the bottom, hit 100, and hit go. And you have 100 labels, and you know they're in sequential order because the computer did it. The chances of it being wrong is very, very, very low. Now, if you were writing them out, you're going to spend a half hour doing 100 labels. These will print out in minutes on there. Any questions? Let me know. Not an expert on all that software, but it's pretty straightforward. It's not difficult. I'll bring you back to the video now. So that's really all there is to it. And I showed you the little strip of labels on there. And you know, those Dymos can be a little expensive. You can find them used. Or if you can find a printer that does the same thing in software. Just let the computer do the work. You don't have to sit there and sort all this stuff and spend all that time. Get cards up. Spend time toward the sale, not toward what you, or stuff like that. You want to put more effort toward the sales. Everything you do should go toward the sale, is what I feel. Now, Postcard Guy, Kevin, I sold hundreds of dinosaurs. So this is about the dinosaur postcard video I did. I enjoyed that video. I had a lot more fun on stuff like that. I sold hundreds of dinosaur postcards over the years, especially real photo museum displays, which do well. So he's been doing it for a long time, Kevin. photo museum, stuff like that. Dinosaurs do well. So Dino Cards, check them out. Thanks, Kevin. And then Boldly Grow Pickers, resident doctor of dinosaurs. He studies these giant monsters, these dinosaurs. And I knew he'd like this video. And said, "Wowie, what a video. So much to comment on." Oh, be nice, Chris. I did the best I could. But yeah, Chris is a great viewer of the channel, comments a lot. You did very well with the names. Great. Jurassic Park, I got the best. But some of the other names, I have problems with names and saying them and stuff like that. So if I ever destroy a name, don't kill me. I apologize ahead of time. Two of the cards that snuck in there weren't actually dinosaurs, but the seller snuck it in the title and they sold. What would make them not a dinosaur? Let me know, Chris. Which ones it is? I would, interested just to know, I guess, if it's that easy. I don't want to get in great detail, but still sold well. They're dinos. I, of course, sell dinosaur cards, but only the ones I have duplicates of. He probably has a stash of those. Why am I getting a picture of Indiana Jones blowing the dust off the library and him sitting in a big English den library? That's how I picture Chris sitting there. The light switch postcard. So Chris, in Show and Tell, in one of the videos, he sent in George Bush, President Bush, light switch postcard. I had a little thing, he put it on light switch. And I asked him to let us know if those sold, and he said the light switch postcards are still in the store. It was a lot of fun, Mark. Thanks, Chris. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I'm still thinking about driving up to Michigan. I got a friend up there. I'm going to ask him about if there's a way to get in and walk around that park up in Michigan where those dinosaurs are, just to get away and do that. But thanks again. Now that's everything about Williamsburg today. We talked about the Dymo, what sold, a lot of different things in these videos every Monday. And I hope someone's learning something on there. I learn every time I put one of these videos together. I learn so much, and I hope you do too. Thanks for watching. Here's some more fish. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.